All right, welcome back everyone to Taming the Perilous Skies 100 Days to Launch, presented by Spoken. 100 Days to Launch is a weekly interview series where we take you step by step through a debut author's journey from finished manuscript to a cross-platform multimedia launch. My name is Patrick Wimp. I am a screenwriter and the film educator at the University of Iowa. I'm also a member of the Spoken content team. And we are joined today by our titular debut author, Dr. Phil Marshall. He is the founder of Spoken and the author of Taming the Perilous Skies. And we've been tracking Phil's journey from, his finished manuscript through many, many steps already up to this point. Weekly, we've talked about things like Phil's inspirations for the book, genre and market, revision, when is your manuscript ready, and emerging technologies, and how all of these things can work for debut authors and indie authors. And so today, we'd like to talk a little bit about the publishing industry, self-publishing in specific. And in diving into these topics, we are really beyond thrilled to be joined today by one of the experts in that space, that is Dale Roberts. Hi, Dale. How are you doing today? Amazing. So Dale L. Roberts is an accomplished indie author. He's got more than 50 published books, and he is the host of the Dale L. Roberts channel on YouTube and the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast. Since 2014, Dale's pursued a full-time career in self-publishing and video content creation. He shares his experiences across his channels, devoted to helping authors build successful self-publishing businesses. So Dale, once again, extremely happy to have you with us. It's really not anyone better to talk to about self-publishing. And I think, just to kind of kick us off, it would be great if you could share with us just a little bit about the state of the self-publishing industry. Obviously, anything creative is ever changing, right? And technology is ever changing. And Phil and I came together because of a lot of those, technological changes. So where is self-publishing at? I guess specifically as it relates to debut authors, but anything is good.
Yeah, self-publishing is a very much a great business to get into. It can be fulfilling, it can be rewarding, but it also can be very daunting and discouraging. So it just depends on your entry point and, of course, your outlook and your goals for this particular business. It it's changed a lot. I mean, I've been in this business for over 11 years now. Back then, I swear you could just smear poop on a page and just publish it and make money hand over fist. These days, I'm not saying I did that, guys. I'm not saying I did that. Although there's probably some reviewers out there like, yeah, you did, yeah, you did. But no, it's changed considerably, but for the better, because I think audience expectations have adjusted. 10 years ago, they were okay with receiving something that was less than stellar for like 99 cents as an ebook or $7.99. They're okay with that. Now, the bar's been raised. You can't just simply, smear poop on a page and publish and expect to make money. And the other thing is, too, is just because you wrote it doesn't mean people are going to come. I think that the people that really understand this business understand that if you're going to be a self-published author, if you're going to be an indie author, you're going to have to wear many hats. One of those hats includes being a marketer. You have to be your greatest ambassador because there's nobody else that will be able to do it better than you. And unless you hire some out, it's up to you and solely on you. So that means that unless you're putting in the work, you're putting in the reps, you're getting out there doing the work like you should be and getting your book in front of people, guess what's going to happen? It's going to languish in the bargain basement, deals with everybody else who thinks that you can just publish it and people are just going to rein in. Because just because you wrote it doesn't necessarily mean there's a neon sign above your head pointing down to you saying, hey, come buy my book. You got to get out there. So that's the biggest thing I tell people is you wrote it, you published it, but the most important part comes after all of that. It's marketing and promoting that thing.
Yeah, that's really huge. Now, that's come up in a couple of our other conversations, is like how much continues to be asked of authors and creators from, marketing, promotion, publishing, it all kinds of build, continues to build. Phil, you're kind of early in this journey. Anything resonate with you from what Dale's brought up there?
Well, yeah, and from the debut author perspective, I can only imagine it's doubly tough because whether it's your amount of followership or just lack of experience in how to market, where to market, it just seems so daunting. I can tell you that firsthand. It does seem daunting. You say I'm early in it. I'm 57 years old, so I'm not early in the life journey. And so coming at this as a little bit of an older debut author, it's really daunting. It's kind of my life's work, really, to bring to the table. But to think that I might be tossing it into the abyss is really hard. And I'm curious, Dale, from your perspective, self-publishing used to be, oh, well, that's the redheaded stepchild, right? I mean, of course, you're going to be going for traditional publishing, right? And yeah, right. Well, so for me and my personal journey, I got rejected by 120 agents, and so I came around to this, but rather than feeling like, oh, it's the backup plan, right, or the the booby prize. It's like it's not the way to think about it, and I've learned that from so many people, and you personify that. I'm curious, if you have anything in particular that the debut author should be thinking about when it comes to self-publishing. I mean, consuming your videos certainly has been helpful for me, I know. And so I'm curious though, is there anything in particular about the debut experience that you think is particularly important?
First time authors really need to focus on how can I get my book in front of more people. That is the primary thing. It's not, hey, I need to share things across social media, I need to put things on my website. It's more of like a culmination of everything. So this is where you're going to want to give yourself plenty of runway before that launch so that way you can promote that thing to the moon and back. Marketing and promotion is about making yourself visible. How do you make yourself more visible? With you being a brand new author, that's going to be a huge challenge, but it's not impossible because you have local media you can tap into. There are thousands of podcasts you can take advantage of. I even recommend, by the way, this is a free one for you here, podcastguests.com. It's great because they send out a bi-weekly email that gives you different podcasts looking for guests. And you got to sift through it quite a bit, but I find at least 1 to 2 podcasts per month through them, and I'm able to land those to them. There's that, working on social media. The other thing is growing your email list. This is something that I'm going to be working on for my fiction pivot going into October is I'm going to be focusing on building my email list first. The reason why I'm going to focus on that is it's going to make that launch so much better. Now, you're probably saying, how am I going to seed out those emails? Well, I'm going to either A, write a standalone novella, or B, I'll do a prequel or a sequel to the novel that I will be releasing. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to do newsletter swaps. I'm going to try to do some group promos where available. I'm going to fill up that email newsletter. I'm going to do giveaways. I want to make sure that my email list has at least 1,000 readers or more. So it's just about getting that emails. Now, I know that not all authors are too keen on the email marketing aspect of things, and it can seem overwhelming, but I would say at least have that as a safeguard and have some type of a sign up from within your book so that way you are collecting the people that are coming in when they first buy your book.
What do you think about the free, KDU free, the folks like Written Word Media, Book Baby, lots of different folks who have these email distributions that you can buy into that get your book out there. And even though these might be free, they might be very low cost initially.
One
What
of the
about them?
ones that I'm partnered with is Crave Books, and they also do the giveaways. Now, just temper your expectations with the reality here, because a lot of these sites like Written Word Media or Crave Books, they are giving out free stuff to people. Like you get free, like I'll go into a store and someone will hand something to me, like as a Costco sample or something like that, and I'll grab it instantly. I'm like, I don't want this. So there's a lot of times where I'm like, I'm throwing out samples because I didn't want that. So that is going to happen a lot with your giveaways. When you're doing some giveaways and you're bringing freebie seekers in there, there's going to be some attrition. There's going to be some drop off initially when you do that. And that's why I really want to make sure that my list is deep as possible when I go to launch my book, because I know there's going to be some fall off. I know there's going to be some people that were just there for the freebie and they're going to bounce out. Don't let that discourage you. You're still going to get some good high quality readers that's going to stick with you for the long haul. You just have to trust the process.
I love the entrepreneurial nature of all this, right? For me, I love this, kind of complex puzzle of not just creating the work, but how do you maximize your reach? How do you, build that kind of dedicated readership? And these insights I think are really helpful for people trying to figure those things out. One of the things we've been trying to wrap our head around is like, how does someone determine, what's the right path for them specifically? You mentioned the idea of, some people don't like email marketing. Some people do want to put their face on social. Some people don't. So, in that kind of initial self-publishing journey, what might be some things for people to consider to really like tailor
That's
it
a tough one to call,
who they are as
because
creative people?
I don't think a lot of people realize that the business of self-publishing is a choose your own adventure. You can be able to choose the paths that you want to. And while success might look a certain way to me, it's going to look a different way to somebody else. And that path to get there is going to be also different.
Mhm.
It's really tough because I know that there's a lot of authors out there that are consuming everything. They're like, I'm going to watch Dale's videos. I'm going to watch Joanna Penn's podcast. I'm going to take
Sure.
something from the Indie Writers Club. I'm going to do all these types of things. But sometimes what's going to happen is you're going to have these contradicting advice. Someone's going to say, you should do email marketing. There's going to be someone who says, don't waste your time. There's going to be
Mhm.
some people like, I did social media and I made $10,000 in the last 5 minutes. Although those are the probably people you probably should be scared of. But all that to say this, that it's going to come with, first of all, intuition. I know that sucks to kind of tell you got to rely on your gut. Well, when you're a brand new author, it's like, I don't know what that is. Unfortunately, that just means you're going to need to study what you can, but eventually you're going to need to take off the wings. The little floaties that when you jump into the pool, you got to jump into that deep end and try to swim on your own. And so that's learning some of those things, making mistakes and being okay with those mistakes, but in the same instance, reflecting on that and being self-aware enough to not make those mistakes again. So choose your own adventure means like pick that path that resonates most with you. If social media is something you're like, oh, that's my jam. I love Facebook. I stay there all day long. I share pictures of my cat, things like that. Great. Social media is your jam. Run with that. I will implore everybody that's listening to this, email marketing should be in your toolkit. If there's anything, like you could throw out your website, you could throw out social media, but if you have an email list, you have constant contact with your readership. And that is a powerful tool. A powerful tool, more importantly, for book launches and announcing discounts and deals and promotions. There's so much you can do with an email list. And so that's why there was one path I would say, try taking that. But then again, I'm kind of biased. I've been able to build a whole career based on this one right here. And I know there's some people out there that have big reservations about email marketing.
Yeah, I think also though on email, the folks who do sign up for the emails are those avid readers, and so they're the ones, right, they're the ones that are looking for that next work, and so they're already in your camp, right? They're already in your stable. That's and so if you've got them on your email list, then that's a really likely buyer. With the freebies of the free chapter or the the novelette in the same universe or whatever. I am curious, Dale, because we've taken a very sort of media, multi-channel approach to story and what it means to bring story to life. It's almost as if we're getting, I mean, in my opinion, it's almost as if self-publishing is sliding back into us now reflecting historically on what the traditional approach to self-publishing is, right? So, I mean, there's traditional publishing that's summer, right? Like, can hardly see it on the horizon anymore. And self-publishing is like, ebook on Kindle and print on demand through Ingram Spark, and that's sliding now. That's the traditional, approach to self-publishing. But now we're talking about, I mean, audio. Of course, audio. Of course, is prominent for me and for us. And audio is racing ahead at about 26% growth year over year, compared to not nearly as high a growth for like ebook sales. And so audio is one, but then there's all the really non-traditional stuff, right? Bringing story to Instagram, bringing story through animated series, bringing story into audio drama, bringing story into blah, blah, blah. How do you, as you think about self-publishing and you think about, as you talk with your viewership, how do you think about the other ways debut authors or self-publishing authors, more broadly writ, bring story to audiences?
Gosh, I don't know how I could be able to say it any better myself, to be honest with you. There's no answer that would be better than that.
Validation from Dale Roberts.
Yeah.
See it here.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one thing. Authors are creative. All authors are creative. If you've written something, you have at least some modicum of creativity in you. Tap into that creativity. Think about ways that you can be able to repurpose and expand what you are offering to your audience. Let me give you a good example here. Actually, going later into this year, I plan on taking my entire 12-book series for Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'm going to be turning it into a video course. Every single one of the books are going to be video courses. I could have just lived and died by ebooks and print books. But to me, I feel like that's only 3 assets: ebook, paperback, hardcover. This doesn't give the opportunity, first of all, you brought up a great point, and by the way, I'm doing audiobook, I promise you, I will be. So it's why I've got a new studio now.
We're going to attack you, we're going to wrestle you to the floor on that one.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I believe 1000% in the growth of audiobook. It is definitely, I want to make sure that I narrate my own, though. That's why I've got my studio set up here. So there's 4 assets that we can tap into, but let's just be very realistic. There are some people that just do not want to bother with either ebook, print book, or audiobook. There are some people that really want that hand-holding experience, and you can get that through video. And so that's why I wanted to tap into that. Now, that's just my creative end of things, and I wish I could tell you I invented it, but no. I learned it from other people within the space that have found it very successful. And there is no limitation to what you can do, especially if you've written the content and you own the copyright to it. Get it out there. Find various ways. Ask your audience, how do they prefer it? What are some ways that they would be able to consume it, that they would enjoy it most? And that's the direction you definitely want to head into. So hopefully I stacked a little bit of value on top of what you already said.
Well, I think the video is a great way of going about things, and being able to do generative video now is getting pretty exciting. I'm wondering though, is there an attention span change that affects all of this? So I'm worried about my 137,000 word doorstop, right? And yes, there will be an audience for it, I think, but the bite size, serialization, whatever. I mean, how do you think about just attention span on novels?
I think the audience is still there. We are finding, yeah, sure, you have the likes of TikTok and YouTube shorts that show that people have that short attention span, but we shouldn't make that blanketed over everybody else, because there are people that really do love to sit down and read a novel. I, for one, love a good lengthy novel because you can really sink your teeth into it. You're not done with it in a couple of hours. I want to be with this book for the next couple of weeks. I want to live an experience, with this right here. So I don't think you should ever be discouraged. It's just understanding where can you find that audience. And the audience exists. It is very much alive and very much well. So it's just a case of getting connected with them. Definitely don't make the assumption that just because platforms like TikTok or Reels or Shorts are performing so well that equates to what readers are doing right now, because that's not always true. You can even look over to a place like TikTok, where book talk has exploded, and I can assure you that there have been a lot of the influencers within the book talk space that are reading really lengthy novels. I mean, Rebecca Yarros. I mean, how thick is hers? I mean, that definitely holds up a door. I'm going to say that right now. So it is definitely showing that, yeah, we might have small attention spans on this medium, but I don't think it goes and transfers over to the actual books itself. Now, let's just say, for instance, though, you're like, wait, hang on a second. You said before, Dale, that you could do video courses. Well, video courses, I'm going to host that somewhere else. That's not going to go on TikTok. It's not going to go on YouTube Shorts. It's going to probably go onto a platform like Uscreen or Thinkific or something
Right.
like that, where they'll be able to purchase that from me. So yeah, definitely don't feel discouraged if you have a very girthy book, if you will. It's commendable. It's commendable, having a good thick book. I mean, that obviously took a lot of time, a lot of energy, and probably plenty of money.
Well, I think that Nancy Kress, who I learned a lot from, would say maybe I could have spent maybe a little bit more time editing it down. But that's all right. I'm happy with the end result. Well, this has been just a super catch up, Dale, and get some of your great insights on this journey. I'm so happy that I have you and Patrick and so many great people to help usher me along and say it's okay, you're not alone, and so it's been really really great to get your insights on all of
Always
it.
happy to chat with you guys, the team, and don't give up. Keep pushing forward. And one thing I would recommend to you, Phil, is get familiar with everybody in your niche. Start networking and start
Yeah.
working on it now. You need to build a big inner network of folks that are inside your niche. So that way, the rising tide raises all boats. You guys hook arms together and you just race towards the finish.